Hello, welcome to Out Motorsports, the channel for cars as you are. My name is Tyler.
I'm Jake.
And we are at the WAPA 2023 rally, and we're driving the Subaru Impreza 2.5 RS. A name that you might remember if you're familiar with Subarus of the past. And so, quick rundown with this. This has the 2.5 liter Boxer 4. It is paired to a CVT transmission, even though you see me clicking through on the paddle shifters. They do have simulated gears, 8 of them to be exact. And this is kind of a throwback to the RSs of the past.
Yeah, it's like, you know, not meant to be super duper sporty, but I guess kind of sporty, kind of fun, kind of flirty.
10% stiffer chassis. And it has the steering rack from the WRX, which we'll see in a second how that goes. I've never driven the WRX before.
I've driven
have.
a couple of them, and I found it to be not the greatest steering in the world. Not a lot of feedback going on. My biggest complaint with the WRX steering was that it like didn't have, you had no indication like where the wheels were going. That car had a ton of grip, but it was just very like, there was no communication. It was like a bad relationship. No one was talking.
Even though this is 10% stiffer than the regular Impreza, I'm assuming that's chassis because it did feel a little bit wallowy going through that part. Oh,
really?
But we're gonna have an open road.
Some good road.
And I'm in the wrong gear because I didn't want the CVT to do CVT things.
In the wrong fake gear. Like another fake gear.
Okay.
So this is a decent road for testing this.
Yeah. So, yeah, I kind of agree with the steering. It's very light, at least, and
it feels like light on its feet.
It is light on its feet. And even though, like, it's 3,300 pounds, though, which I guess for modern standards is kind of light for a car, but it honestly, if I didn't read that before getting in it, I would have thought that it was lighter than it was. The light steering mixed with kind of how it turns in, pretty good, I will say. It's way more fun than I expected it to be, just as far as how flickable it is through this.
Yeah, and that goes a long way when you don't have a lot of power.
Yes.
Just like if you can like momentum the car, that is a nice thing. So I'm glad to hear that. As you're getting on the brakes, how was like the initial bite and pedal feel and all that for slowing us down?
I don't want to say average, but like
not too much, not too little.
Yeah, like nothing remarkable. I feel like if I was to really actually start to haul down on them like this, then they would start to fade pretty quickly. Like, it doesn't feel like there's a ton of power behind the bite.
Yeah.
But as far as like how they react to you and how they feel, pretty good actually.
Okay.
Pretty natural.
Yeah, it felt right back there. It felt like it wanted to pivot as you're like on the brakes turning. It seemed kind of good.
Yeah, and interestingly, I know the Crosstrek sort of shares platforms with this, and the Crosstrek that I was just in had that same sort of, oh, here we go, tip it in here.
Oh.
It does sort of want to pivot, doesn't it?
It wants to pivot, but that was, you were asking a lot of it right there. If you felt that front left was just like, pogo sticked a little.
It basically, so at the apex of that corner, for obviously you can't see, people watching, there was a bump like mid-corner, and the front like dipped down into that bump. It did a little like pivot situation, but it wasn't, even though I kind of said it just felt soft initially back there, it was pretty well tipped.
I think it feels, from the passenger seat, it feels soft, but it handled that well enough, given we like upset it mid-corner. I mean, just like every other Subaru I've driven, it just feels like it would be happier off-road.
Yeah.
Because this would be way at home at a rallycross,
yep.
You know, in the dirt, in the gravel. It feels fine on the asphalt too. So yeah,
yeah, I think it would have good rally car vibes. I would be interested to see exactly how this does on like a very smooth gravel road. I think this would be very fun on like a smooth gravel road.
Yeah. So, ooh, here we go. Okay, the seats can be bolstered better.
They can.
But this is also not a WRX.
I like that they're cloth, though.
Yeah, and we have real gauges with a little screen, none of this full LCD nonsense.
So I was just saying before we started rolling the camera how much I appreciate that they haven't really gone away from that yet. I think Subaru was like one of the last holdouts.
Oh yeah.
As far as like a digital gauge cluster is concerned, and I think it's kind of refreshing that you have.
It's refreshing,
gauges.
And like analog gauges are kind of art in a sense.
Indeed.
Even in a car like this is, you know, kind of an economy car sort of deal. Even at this RS spec. I don't know what these start at for like base price, but this is what, fully loaded-ish, and it's 31 grand, you said?
Yeah, barely, round up to 32, but 31 and change.
Yeah.
I also just noticed they have a little RS logo in the speedometer on this, which is a nice little touch.
Oh, you can barely see it.
I know, especially right now, it's covered by the needle, but it's a good try. Also, as far as quirky little RS badges are concerned, on the front fender of this, it has the little RS logo, and it has the opposing cylinders.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like reminiscent of the Boxer 4. And speaking of the Boxer 4, this is really kind of growing on me now, especially that I'm driving it in this smaller, like lighter chassis. I kind of like the naturally aspirated, like Boxer rumble. Like it's you can't really,
it's something different.
Yeah, and you can't really hear it in this. Like it's very quiet, but when you rev it out, and we just had people wanting me to rev it in the parking lot before I left, and it's different, it's unique, and it's just something that they've stuck with. It's very Subaru-like of them.
Yeah, no, I'm into it. You know, they talk a big game about how like the Boxer motor lets the motor sit lower, so that you get a lower hood line and all that. And in their SUVs, like who cares, because everything's got a high hood line. But for this, the hood does slope down pretty dramatically, so I think there is kind of a benefit to it. I don't know how good the Boxer is on fuel versus other stuff. I feel like that's never been really their strong suit.
No, and I think this is somewhere in like the mid-20s.
Yeah.
As far as fuel economy is concerned.
It might actually say on the paper if I really look at it.
I think it does.
Yeah, 26 city, 33 highway. So that's not bad.
Okay.
It's not bad for a non-hybrid, you know, fully combustion car.
Yeah.
You know, I wish Subaru would do some more hybrid-y stuff, because I think they could clean up if they did it, because like their buyers are so like fanatical about just, they want to buy more and more Subarus and not switch brands.
Florida.
Punch it, Margaret.
Okay. It surprisingly picks up a lot after like 5,000 RPM.
I was gonna say, once you get it wound up, and once you got it into a higher gear, not like second, whatever third and fourth are, those ratios made it feel punchier.
They did.
The power kind of swelled and built better. And
I was fully expecting it to kind of not want to rev out like that, but it was the complete opposite. Once the red line in this is like 6,200 RPM, and once it hit 5, it's like it kind of took off and got up on like a second cam or something. Interesting. Yeah. In a good way.
I think I like it for what it is.
Yeah.
I feel like that's my hot take on everything we've driven today. It's just like, well, for what it is, I like it.
But like, it serves a purpose, and I was saying before we started rolling cameras, how I feel like maybe 5 or 10 years ago, Subaru sort of felt overpriced for what you get, but now as things are getting more expensive, and
they're doing the value play well, I think, even with like more than just the Impreza, I think with the other cars too. If you're down to clown with like whatever they're selling you, it is. So that's an F-150 with like pipes in front of us. If you're into whatever they're selling, I think they do a nice job on the value front in a lot of cases. I think the thing that I appreciate about this, because like you said, it shares the platform with the Crosstrek, which you just drove. We'll link that video somewhere. But the thing I appreciate is that if you don't want the ride height of the Crosstrek, you have another option.
Yes.
If you're like, I love the Crosstrek, I love the looks, I love the interior, I love like the vibe, but I don't want the ride height because I want better handling, or I just have anti-crossover, whatever. This is that car.
Yeah.
So I'm happy it's here. I hope they sell enough of them to keep it in existence.
Right.
Because the whole world wants crossovers. Well, or marketing wants you to buy crossovers. That's kind of how that goes.
Right. But in case you don't, you have a perfectly fine and good hatchback as an alternative.
Yeah, we're here for it.
Yeah.
I guess that's it.
I think that is it.
All right. Like, share, comment, subscribe. See you for the next one. Bye.
Bye.